Well, hello, boys and girls. It's when we feel like it o'clock. I'm Pearl of Wisdom, and you're listening to the Pearl of Wisdom Show, coming to you daily now, at least 5 days a week, usually from 10 till 12. But I have a special guest, and he's got a busy life, and we couldn't get on till noon today, so we said, or 11 today, 11 Mountain Time, 1 Eastern. So we decided to do it this way. This is Payton on the radio, one of the finest in the land.
Heyo.
Yeah, all one of the fine members of Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and just a great prognosticator in general. What have you been doing there, big guy? You've been doing more of your. Did you go on last night? I didn't even get a chance to see you.
Yeah, I did the play-by-play for the Toronto Maple Leafs versus Edmonton Oilers game. It was a very uneventful game, but a lot of defense, so I loved it as I'm a huge guy for defense. So, yeah, I went live last night. It was a lot of fun. I got to see my Oilers win for the first time since the home opener, since the season opener. So, or not the season opener, the second game into the season. So, it's nice to see the Oilers finally win.
Yeah, I did watch that game. Was doing a lot of things while I was watching it. That's why I didn't get on your live stream last night. But
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty much not what was expected. But we'll get into that as we go.
Ooh.
We go into all because we're going to go into all the games right now that happened last night. Did you watch anything after that?
I watched a bit of the Vegas Golden Knights game
Yeah.
there. I watched that for a bit, and then I went and passed out practically.
Okay.
But that game wasn't too bad. I think who was Vegas facing again? Oh
It
man,
was
Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah, yeah. I watched some of the highlights between all the other games between San Jose and St. Louis and Minnesota and Anaheim and Minnesota. Damn. I know they're facing a lot of the bottom feeder teams, but they're playing pretty good. And same with Kaprizov there. He's really, really impressing a lot of people right now.
Yeah. I didn't notice him as much last night, but
No.
because I do watch most of the games. I have all the while you guys are doing live streams. You and John was on live last night for the Toronto Edmonton game, first time.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get into it because I'm not going to go right into the Oilers game right away, but it was the first time that he has seen two Canadian teams on NBC last night. So, and he's from Boston, so that was pretty impressive. That the NHL is starting to get some clout there in the U.S.
Yeah, especially with this Canadian division, and it was a big matchup. Didn't live up to its hype, but yeah. I wish there was a lot more goal scoring, but we'll get into much later on how impressed I was at the Edmonton Oilers defense last night.
Yeah. I'm just talking to our friends on the that are adding on here. This is going to be interactive, so we'll be if anybody wants to say something while we're talking, you go ahead. We'll stop what we're doing and we'll talk with you. No problem.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm going to start with maybe not the most sexiest game out there, but one that I found really intriguing last night when I was watching it. I'm going to start with the St. Louis Blues San Jose Sharks game from last night. And I'll go into, I know you didn't watch the game, but you can tell me, kind of give me your thoughts on both teams so far this year and stuff when I send it over to you. Last night the Blues were going over. And we know that that's not something that St. Louis Blues don't usually allow a ton of goals. Not usually something that they do. So last night I had the over on this game because I just thought, well, might as well keep on going. However, I did say in my video that the Blues are not going to make the playoffs if they keep on playing high-scoring games. And so I'm watching the game last night, and it seems like uh, Craig Berube kind of got his point across because they were playing they were playing their old
Yeah.
style back again last night.
Hmm.
Now, that being said, San Jose ended up coming up with the win on this one. Or no, sorry, did they win last night or was it the night before?
Yeah, they won in shootout. Tomas Hurdle got the shootout winner
Yeah,
there against the
that's what it
Blues.
was. Yeah, Thomas Hurdle. But I'll tell you that it's actually it's a loss, but it's a loss that they should be willing to take because they played a better game. They played much better in general. And actually, San Jose probably played their best game of the season last night uh,
Hmm.
for the very same reasons. It was a defensive battle, but it was a hard fought defensive battle. You could have went either way the whole game. I actually really enjoyed it. Like you, I like watching the defensive part of the game, and people who really like hockey appreciate good defense because that's what hockey's all about. Now, the
Hmm.
Sharks did get 38 shots compared to the Blues 23. San Jose was using their strength, which is their puck moving, Carlson, Burns, and the like,
Yeah.
very well last night. However, most of their shots were fairly perimeter. And the other good thing that St. Louis can kind of take a sigh of relief about was that Binnington had a strong game. And that's something that they need. They need, right?
Yeah, he made a lot of saves last night. 37, he was stellar. I seen when I was watching over the highlights. There was a lot of good opportunities from Kachir. Timu Meyer had 7 shots. Vander Kane had a couple of good chances. There was a lot of people buzzing last night for the San Jose Sharks, and they weren't able to generate anything. And I think that only goal there from Fiara from the point, who Sorensen jumped on that rebound. That was the only goal that was let in. It was by a big juicy rebound. So that shows you how well Bennington was last night and how good of a goaltender he was. And same with Martin Jones. I know he faced less shots, but he only let in 1 goal during that entire game. And overall, Martin Jones, I mean, he's put up meh numbers, and we'll have to see if the bad defense will continue there for San Jose, which most likely it will, because Brent Burns and Eric Carlson are having those two guys on your team. I mean, you know you're just gonna have bad defense no matter what. But Martin Jones didn't play too terribly bad in that game.
No, I mean, that was kind of a bright spot for him. He did better. They're going to need, like I guess before the season started, I was talking about Nabokov seemingly like a goalie whisperer there in San Jose last year. At the end, when Dell and Jones started turning it around, and basically as soon as they brought him in as a goaltender coach, not long after. So I
Yeah.
imagine that will come back again. But like you said, how much can you really put it on the goaltender when you've got Carlson and Burns, who great offensive players, aren't really known for their
and
stout.
they're playing and they're playing 30 minutes a game, and they're on your PK too. Like
Yeah,
they're playing a lot of ice time out there for being 2 offensive D-men. I seen one play, I think it was one of the St. Louis goals, where Brent Burns was playing hard on, who was it, Jordan Kyrou, but totally lost the play. He was focusing on Kyrou, trying to get him off the puck, and wasn't playing a very smart defensive play. Kyrou made a nice pass over to, I think it kind of got left for Braden Shen, and Shen sniped it in the back of the net. But Burns needed to play a bit better defensively in that play, either try to push Kyrou harder off the puck or play a little bit back and just play him with his
yeah,
stick, because that's the best way to do it. Like I always see it with Darnell Nurse as well, where he tries to go for the big hit, but you can't always go for the big hit. You sometimes have to go for the using your stick and playing smart defensively, and waiting back, especially the St. Louis Blues, because they do got some good goal scorers on that St. Louis Blues
absolutely.
team, and Martin Jones is not your strongest goalie. So when you don't have a strong goalie behind you, you got to play really, really good defense.
Yeah, and this, like you said, that's probably not going to happen very often with the lineup that they have.
Hmm.
You've got Ferrero playing 20, how much, 25, 22 minutes, I think it was last night that he
Yeah,
played. I
yeah.
mean, I like Ferrero, but on a perfect world, he's not playing 22 minutes on your team right now, right?
Well, especially this early on as well. Like he's so young and he's already playing high level minutes. And same with Vlasic. Like Vlasic has totally dropped off, and he's still getting 22 minutes a game. This defensive core is something that will drag down the San Jose Sharks going through the season. I think the only thing that's going to keep him afloat is your Vander Kane, your Teemu Meyer, and your Logan Couture. I did see in the highlight package when Logan Couture did take like a one-timer shot there. He was laboring something. I don't know if there was an injury on the play or what was totally going on with Logan Couture, but something to watch out for because usually Logan Couture has always been kind of an injured riddled guy throughout his career, and if Logan Couture goes down with an injury, it might end up pretty bad for San Jose.
Oh, it would be devastating. That would be
It
absolutely
would be.
that. Well, that's the thing, and the odds are in this type of the way this season is, and the condensed play with all the 3 games in 4 nights and 4 games in 6 nights. There's going to be injuries, and San
Hmm.
Jose is just not prepared for that, really, right?
Yeah,
Like if
they don't got
we just
depth.
talked about Ferrero playing 22 minutes a night, but what if Ferrero got injured? You got to play
You Semic
Kinizov and
and
Simic. Yeah, not looking good. And who's going to go in for them? Actually,
Nicholas Malok and Jacob Middleton.
yeah, Mawash is like a career minor leaguer, and Middleton, yeah, is like not what you want to be playing in your top six at all. Wow, it would be just like any injuries to the San Jose Sharks will pretty much ruin their season. So, yeah, with the Blues though, I wanted to mention they've been doing some funky lines there with the Blues.
Yeah, they have been certainly.
Hoffman, Thomas, and Bozak. Playing Hoffman on the third line with Thomas and Bozak. That doesn't seem like a recipe for putting Hoffman in the
Well,
best.
it's not a bad idea. Like, yeah, Bozak, but you think about it, right? Like Hoffman is a bombshell on five hockey, and I will say that because Mike Hoffman, his analytics show, he's definitely not a 5-on-5 guy. He is a power play specialist, big time. So he is a specialty for that. Robert Thomas, he can produce a lot of offense, and he's going to be a future top six
Oh
guy
yeah,
for that St. Louis
for
Blues
sure, for
team.
sure. Yeah.
So playing Mike Hoffman alongside of Robert Thomas will help that produce. Then you have Jordan Kyrou with Shannon Schwartz. That's not too bad. Sanford, Riley, and David Prawn. This is like the way that they built their lineup is to play smart defense and to also have offense in there as well. I don't mind the lineups, actually. I think it's a very smart idea putting Mike Hoffman on that third line because he's a good guy. He's a good goal scorer, but definitely not your 5-on-5 guy like your Vladimir Tarasenko who could play up on that top line and play really good 5-on-5 hockey.
Yeah, I thought I liked it too when I saw it on paper, but it just
Mhm.
didn't look good last night with Hoffman, Thomas, and Bozak. That line looked befuddled. Maybe they'll give it a little more time. Maybe it's just because they were just put together and they got to get feeling for what they got to get a feel for each
And
other and stuff
that's
like that.
too. We haven't really had very much time to play very much hockey. No preseason, no nothing. So these first 5 games are feeling like it is preseason hockey right now, right? We've been seeing a lot of loose defense and not the greatest playing in the world, but maybe here in the next couple of games they'll start kindling something up. But they got so many combinations that can go for. They still got Barbashev, Sardquist, and Blad down there on the fourth line. So
Yeah,
the depth for the St. Louis Blues team it's insane.
Well, Sundqvist and Blais Sundqvist on the fourth line, you're right, is absolutely insane. I love Oscar Sundqvist. I love him. He could easily play on a lot of teams. Like if he was in Arizona, he would be probably a first line right winger. But
Yeah.
after we'll get into that game.
No. He would be the centerman for Phil Kessel. That's what he
probably,
would be.
yeah.
That'd be perfect. Sundqvist and Phil Kessel.
Yeah, Sundqvist would still be in his own zone, and Phil Kessel would be in the offensive zone, and they would just, it would be a good guy actually for Kessel, no doubt about it. When Sundqvist was in Pittsburgh, Sidney Crosby said that Sidney Crosby loved him, and he was very unhappy when they lost him, but. And they could really use him now, too. Jeez. They could use him in Pittsburgh a lot. But, yeah, they do have a very deep lineup. I noticed last night that the Hoffman-Thomas-Bozak line wasn't really clicking very well. I do like Zach Sanford playing as a guy that can complement forwards. He is that kind of guy. There's a lot of offense in Zach Sanford that would stay untapped, but he's got an offensive aspect to his game. I do like that for sure. And Jordan Kyrou, I've watched now a couple of games now. Sometimes he's been the best guy on the ice.
Yeah, like the play that he made against Brent Burns there, where Brent Burns was pressuring him, he protected the puck so well. And it was like he's been playing the league for so long. And he acts like he's not 6 foot. Like he's only weighing, like what it says here on Cap Friendly, 175 pounds. He might weigh a little bit more than that, but he is playing really damn well. And already he's leading the team in points right now as a young 22-year-old. I loved Kyrou when he was developing. I loved when he played for the World Juniors for us. He's just been an overall great player developing for the St. Louis and just been a very underrated prospect for that St. Louis organization, I feel. And he's really coming into himself this season and is a guy that really need to jump up for the St. Louis Blues for them to do really well, and especially without Tarasenko in their lineup as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's get a little bit on their defense there. I'm trying to look. They had an injury, and I can't remember what it was, and now I cannot.
Bertuzzo,
that's what it was.
Or is it Scandella? Because Scandella's out day to day as well.
Yeah, they had both. And Vince Dunn came up, and I really think Vince Dunn can play higher in the lineup. I'm really surprised.
I think so too. You look at his analytics. Vince Dunn is a for sure future top pairing guy on the St. Louis Blues team. I think without a doubt. The guy plays a really good game. His analytics look really good. Honestly, he's a good defender. I think that was the plan. That was their plan with letting Pietrangelo walk. Because you have a guy in Vince Dunn who could play really well defense, but he could also produce some offense for you. And he's young at 24 years of age. And you got a control on him as an RFA. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of control over Vince Dunn right now. He's a really good defenseman. Still needs a bit of time to develop, but that defensive core is stacked once you get either Scandella or Bertuzzo back in the lineup. And also Falk hasn't been doing too bad either, I would have to say. Yep. Torrey Krug made a little bit of a mess up last night, but even then, Torrey Krug and Parayko haven't been too bad either. But I think that's just part of the Berube plan, right? The Berube plan is just play defense first and such a great job of playing defense for a very long time. And this team still looks great. And Binnington, the way that he played last night, I think he's going to continue that.
I just got a thing on here that said I got a little echo, and I know why, so I'm going to go fix it.
Okay.
So, video capture. Yeah, I got my video captures on. I got to shut it off, and that'll get rid of that echo for us. Desktop mic. NDI source is also on. Okay, now we got her. Yep, Should be good now. Tell me, how guys, if there's echoing there now.
Did Samsonov get COVID? No, he didn't get COVID. Ovechkin and a bunch of other people went into like a hotel room not wearing face coverings, so they got all put on the COVID protocol list and they got like a fine. So I don't know what's gonna happen, if they're gonna be good or not or whatever, but I'm not too sure on that part.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. And what is going to happen? Do they have to go into a 14-day now? If that's the case,
I
then
don't think so. I know. I think because they're going to be missing, what is it? Kuznetsov, Orlov, and Samsonov. They're unavailable to play or practice in accordance with the league's protocols.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. And what
so
is
I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how that goes. But what a bad mistake. I mean, but that being said, it's difficult not to make mistakes like that in this environment, right? I mean, just going in your regular life, we're just regular people doing regular things. And how many times have I did something and went, oh my gosh, like, it's hard to get adjusted to the fact that life isn't normal now. And, it's too bad Obi. But the good thing about Obi and those guys is they just come out and say, yeah, did it. They don't try to hide anything or try to cover it up. Actually, the Washington Capitals organization in general has been kind of like that. So I like them a lot for that. All right. Well, let's get to our next game on the card here. Whoops.
Minnesota and Anaheim one?
We can do that. Yeah, my thing moves kind of slow while we're doing this. Got a bit of a lag, my laptop, so it's taking a long... Look at it, still... Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's go Minnesota Wild versus the Ducks. It's...
Minnesota. Having a positive record. I know they've been facing a lot of the teams that are definitely not the greatest teams in the world, but Kaprizov, wow.
Yeah.
He can never shoot that puck.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I mean, I wasn't expecting that he was going to light it up this much and to produce more than what Laffy has right now. No one's really talking about Laffy. Laffy has no points in the past 3 games, but I was kind of expecting that from the Rangers anyways. I knew the Rangers weren't going to be playing very well probably to start off the season and going through it. Also, I did fix my mic for some reason. It was on the wrong.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, hopefully, can you hear everybody? I think everything's good now.
Turn on my gain as well. That should fix it, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. If it doesn't, I'll play around with the things here, but that's all right. Just keep on going.
But, Minnesota, shout out to Greenway as well. Jordan Greenway is starting to produce some offense for the Minnesota Wild as well. But this is a game that first goal by Ryan Hartman was an absolute great defensive play, and that's how Minnesota really has to play. And also, Dave Evanson's a guy that was a great coach for them last year to the end of the season. Going into this year, he's carried a lot of that momentum going from last year into this year. And they just have, I think they have, every lineup is good. Kevin Fiala, I think that second line is definitely not doing very well with Johansson, Bonino, and Fiala. But Kaprizov is doing well. Parise is not producing anything, but that third line with Foligno, Eriksson Ek, and Jordan Greenway,
yep.
They are really going at her. And their defense is absolute stellar, which we all knew was going to be the case. And also their goaltending, Cam Talbot, over the past couple of games has been very good. And Kaapo Kähkönen, I think, did really well against the Anaheim Ducks as well. But the Anaheim Ducks doesn't have, like, huge goal scorers anyways. So, I mean... Oh, so it just got announced here, ladies and gents. Capitals starts to miss 4 games. Ovechkin, Samsonov, Kuznetsov, and Orlov are expected to miss the next 4 games after being placed on the COVID thing.
Oh my gosh, so they're going to have to piece together a lineup now?
And they're going to have to go with, like,
Vanasek or Copley, so you're not going to have a starter for the next 4 games.
Oh,
Wow.
as a professional capper, I'm smacking my lips right now. I want to get on that right away. Oh my gosh. That's gonna, and they got Buffalo coming up. Buffalo's got to be like doing backflips right now.
I would say Buffalo's had kind of a rough start to the season. Like, well, Jack Eichel and Hall been producing, but they haven't been able to win games lately. And this is a huge opportunity for them now to get a couple points on their back, right? Ovechkin's been crazy good to start off the season. He's been that first line for the Capitals have been buzzing lately, but now you miss 2 of your biggest stars in Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, big defenseman in Orlov, and a great goalie in Samsonov. Man, it's going to be a bit sketchy there for the Capitals going to the next 4 games.
Yes. Wow, that's huge news, and it just happened. That's why we do these live things, so you can catch the news right here. That is huge news, and you couldn't get much more of a punishment than that.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite the punishment. 4 games of shame, and Ovechkin yet too.
Yeah, the NHL's taking it very seriously, very, very seriously, and I think you have to. You can't be messing around with the COVID protocols, with how many games are being postponed right now. You just kind of have to deal with the consequences for the Washington Capitals, and to I guess learn from your lessons not to break COVID protocols, or you'll miss your out on your big superstars. So Capitals get to be the example, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. That's devastating. Like, just fortunately, they do have a deep enough team that they might be able to still catch some wins there. Vanacek has been playing good when given the chance to do so, but I mean, you don't really want to put that much pressure on a kid like that, and that's pretty much what they're doing. I don't have much confidence in Copley, so it was it's Samsonov, Ovechkin, who else?
Orlov and Kuznetsov.
Kuzi out too. Wow. So 2 now. Backstrom's got to play crazy minutes. Oshie. Fortunately, they do have Barana that can move up and get an opportunity, which he can do all right. They do have some depth. We'll get into that. We're going to go into what that means for the Washington Capitals after we get into some of these games. Yeah, Buffalo's. Kevin Sterling says Buffalo's not an easy game either, and after how they played against 2 games with Philadelphia, it certainly is not an easy game. And with this will be a good opportunity to see if Buffalo can, taste blood. If they can be one of those teams that can see see something coming and be able to put their foot on the neck of their opposition, because that's really what Buffalo's needed for years, right?
They really do need to do that, and Eichel and Hall, their whole team has to go out there and play a good game. They can't just have their dynamic duo carrying them for the most that night. The Caps are still a very good team, even without those guys. He's been red hot to start the season. Same with Backstrom, Oshie, and Varanen as well. So he's still got a lot of guys that can still produce a big offense. Vanacek, who knows what he'll be able to do in the back of the net. He's actually produced a little bit better numbers than Samsonov right now to start off the season. So we'll have to see how well he plays. I think Vanacek played against Pittsburgh, if I'm correct. I think I watched that game. Vanacek played decently well. But there was some plays where he just lit in a loose one, and so we'll have to see how well he plays against the Buffalo Sabres in that doubleheader this next upcoming games.
His first game was against Buffalo, actually, and he won. And he looked, so now he's going back against Buffalo and going to play them again. The thing that's a disadvantage there is one of the real advantages he had when he played Buffalo is that Buffalo had never played against him, right? So their players had never shot against him, and that's a huge advantage for rookies coming in. But here now they're going to have a bit of a read on him, so that'll be interesting to see. Going back to the Minnesota game, you mentioned Eriksson, Greenway, and who else did they have in that line? The other kid.
Foligno.
Was it Foligno? Not a kid.
Foligno.
That could be. They have the potential to be one heck of a good shutdown line, right? And it really, Minnesota's playoff hopes were kind of hanging on guys like Eriksson, and Greenway, and so far so good.
Yeah, I think the only player that I would like to see perform a little bit better is Kevin Fiala. No points in the past 4 games there.
Yep.
And same with Zach Parise. Zach Parise is not doing very well as well. And you kind of have to get those guys going if you really want to keep winning those games. Like, they've been very fortunate that they've been facing a lot of kind of bad teams. Like, they have San Jose coming up for the next 2 games, and then LA again for the next 2 games. So, I mean, San Jose is going to be a tough opposition, but they're not the greatest team defensively. While Minnesota, like, they got Spurgeon, Brodin, Suter, and Dumpa, and they also just added Ian Cole to their defense core as well. So it's a very scary looking defense core back there for the Minnesota Wild. And LA's been doing very well. I'll give them that. Anthony Ciu, shout out to him, a guy that the Oilers got rid of, and his shot's insane. And he's kind of getting it back and going. But the Minnesota Wild have a pretty easy schedule up until the Colorado Avalanche game. So the time to start winning a lot of these games are now. And Parise and Fiala. Fiala is a big future guy for the Minnesota Wild. He produced a lot last season, and he needs to continue going forward.
Yeah, on the other side of the ledger, we had Anaheim, who is just doing their best to try to stay in games. Really, from what I saw, Delorier is their leading scorer right now. I mean, the good news.
Actually, I think it's he's tied with 3 other players. Max Comtois and Carter Ronnie's up there as well.
Carter. Yes, the good news is Delorier and Rowney are scoring lots. The bad news is Delorier and Rowney are their best offensive players right now. You don't want that. Silverberg is in the tank again. It's Heinen and Milano, who look like good acquisitions in the offseason. I watched them last night. Just Sonny Milano is so frustrating to watch. The kid's got so much talent, but you wonder where his head is half the time.
I remember watching him last year there. Like, he lit up the Edmonton Oilers, and he really can just go out there and shoot that puck. He really can. And this year, only playing 2 games, he's had no points. He hasn't really done too much for the Anaheim Ducks, and especially stepping into this game, he's had tons of time to prove himself. Almost 16 minutes out there, almost a minute of power play time. But that's the biggest problem with the Anaheim Ducks as well. They can't score goals. Like, the Anaheim Ducks has always been kind of cursed with that fact that they've just never been able to score goals. It's continuing to show that with the Anaheim Ducks going into this season. I knew they were going to have a bad season. They might be near the bottom of the league once the year's done, but they're going to see some improvements. Comtois, the big captain there, the former captain there for Team Canada during that upsetting World Juniors, he's actually been doing fairly well for the Anaheim Ducks.
Yep.
In 4 games, he's had 3 goals for the limited amount of ice time he's been giving. I think he's going to be a very good piece for the Anaheim Ducks moving forward. And this game, and this is the fact that the matter is, the Anaheim Ducks are definitely a rebuilding team, and we're going to be seeing that for a while. I don't know necessarily why they picked up Shattenkirk, maybe to just kind of add another defenseman to the team, but you know what? It's going to help them move forward with development, especially for Jamie Drysdale whenever he steps up into the roster. Shattenkirk will be able to help him out.
If he's still there, I think they might have. I think they might have added him for the purpose of trading him for a 2nd-round pick come trade deadline time. Manson being out last night was certainly noticeable. Although you got to love this Hackenpah kid. He's not really a kid. He's kind of an older guy, but he works for every inch of ice that he can get out there. I really like watching him. I think he's going to probably, has found himself a place on the roster for quite some time now. And he's just fun to watch. I love watching guys like that you can tell they're giving every ounce of effort every moment that they're on the ice.
And that's honestly what you got to do, right? Especially for him. He's 28 years old. He's been kind of bounced around Finland there, getting some chances with the Anaheim Ducks. He has to take this opportunity and kind of run with it, right? Like with Josh Manson being out of lineup and same with Goulet. You have a chance to kind of run with it and see where you can go. And you're playing alongside a Cam Fowler, who is, I think, a great defenseman in the league. So it's a perfect opportunity to kind of just let yourself fly and see how things go.
Yeah, for sure. It does give him he's in perfect spot right now with Anaheim, and maybe on a lot of teams he would never have got the opportunity to be where he is right now. As a whole, though, like I said, it doesn't look good for Anaheim this year. They definitely will be. I would definitely think that they would be looking more towards the draft picks at the end of the year with the roster they've got together here. I wonder if Getzlaf will finally say, you know what, I'm going to go for a cup somewhere.
Yeah, that's a big question because Ryan Getzlaf has been very, very loyal to the Anaheim Ducks for a very long time. He really has been. And to see him go, it's going to be like Joe Thornton in a Toronto Maple Leafs uniform. It's going to be weird to see that. So I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be this year. Ryan Getzlaf is on his last year of his contract, but it's a big one. It's $8.250 million, so the Anaheim Ducks most likely will have to retain a lot of it once it gets to trade deadline. But yeah, you might hear the Anaheim Ducks be putting a lot of people on the block, like Getzlaf, maybe a Silverberg, maybe even a Henrique if they're able to get rid of those guys, but they do have long-term contracts. But Anaheim Ducks might be one of those teams that might be looking to sell a lot of their players and maybe even Ryan Getzlaf. Ryan Getzlaf would be a great player for a lot of teams going into the playoffs. He's just that type of player. I remember him when the Anaheim Ducks were in the playoffs. They were the hardest team to face. Everyone hated the Ducks because they had Getzlaf, Kessler, they had Perry. All those guys could piss you off, and Getzlaf, he's a great passer, but he's also an agitator.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still value in Getzlaf, and I think there's value in Henrique too, although his price tag's a little high. There's probably a team out there that would want to, get some center depth and maybe, send a body back for the salary to make sense and a draft pick or something like that. Also, they got a big question on whether are they going to keep rolling with Manson and Lindholm now, or is this going to be a complete rebuild? It appears that they want to keep on building around those guys because they're a little on the youngish side, but they better get going. I don't really. It's not fun to watch Manson's best years being wasted on a team that's in a rebuild.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, he's going to be a free agent after this year in 2022. Same with Lindholm. Shattenkirk will be close. Cam Fowler's the only guy that's really locked up here for a while. And you look at their future defense, I mean, I don't think you really have anyone really noticeable but for Jamie Drysdale. Like, their future defensive core, they got some decent guys, but nothing that's going to be like, wow, that's a great defenseman that you got there, right? Like, they're definitely waiting on the team to develop, but it's definitely not developing fast enough for the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah.
And it's taking a bit longer than what they expected it, but that's what happens in a rebuild. A rebuild takes a very, very long time, and the Anaheim Ducks got some future players. Like, they got Zegras. I think Zegras is going to be a fantastic player for them.
Absolutely.
Drysdale.
Yeah.
But they need more time. They need more picks. they can't rush this rebuild. Rushing a rebuild's a bad idea. I've seen it before as an Oilers fan. Rushing a rebuild just does not end up being a very good thing. You bring in a lot of older players, you bring in dumb contracts, like the Edmonton Oilers did with Fearance and Lucic. It just does not go very good. Rebuild, I would trade away Getzlaf. I would trade away a lot of the players that I know they want to stay loyal to. But sometimes you just got to do what's best for the team.
Yeah, I think they're trying really hard to not do a total rebuild here. That's what's happened.
I think so.
They were picking like late in. What's going on with Max Jones, by the way? Why hasn't he been playing in the lineup?
He had like a gaming addiction, I think, from what I heard a long time ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but he's been a kind of a guy that's just has not performed. I don't know if he's not in the right headspace or something, but he's just not been that guy that the Anaheim Ducks are looking at.
Wow, because I mean, he put up 12 points last year. He's still a young guy. He's big. He's solid. But for whatever reason, he didn't make the team this year, and that's pretty, say surprising. Maybe a better way of putting it, it is disappointing would be the word that I would have to use there. That's pretty disappointing. He's not making the team. They really would have needed somebody like him. And you're right. I mean, they have some guys with some potential on the D zone, but not very much. Anyways, their attempt, I think, to try not to do a complete rebuild has failed. That's really what it comes. They really need to just do a complete rebuild, get it over with. But the hard part is you're in Anaheim, right? And not the hockey hotbed that is good for rebuilds, and owners need to make money and all of those sort of things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there in Anaheim.
It really is. It is going to be really interesting to see what happens there. You know what? I'm not a big fan of Anaheim because of the fact I'm an Oilers fan. So I do hope that they will be rebuilding for a decent long time because of what happened in 2016 in the playoffs with the Oilers there. But I wish them the best of luck because it's going to be pretty chaotic for the next couple of years for the Anaheim Ducks.
I agree. They got to get really good, like Zegras, and then get some top picks more, like maybe Power next year. That big 6'5" defenseman, or
you really need a solid defenseman to come into your team, unless you're going to keep Lindholm and all those guys for a long time. But you already had Lindholm at 27. By the time you finish rebuilding and Zegras is playing at his best game, Lindholm will probably be about 31, 32, because rebuilds do take about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
They do take a decent long time once you actually invest yourself into the rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a good 3 or 4 years, and all those defensemen, they're going to be old. They're not going to be able to do what they used to do in their prime. Those guys, the prime is now for them. And I think the thing that killed the Anaheim Ducks was the expansion draft. The expansion draft is what really derailed the Anaheim Ducks, I would say.
Wow, making the mistake of letting Theodore go. Yeah, they had other options they could have did. I don't know. That was a big move. I'm sure somebody got fired because of that. That was horrible. They could really use a guy like that right now, for sure. No doubt about it. Okay, let's go to the big crazy game. Let's go to the Canadiens and Canucks. That was absolutely nuts last night. Yeah, Tyler Toffoli. Yeah, what, you get a hat trick last night?
Yeah, I gotta say, why do the defensemen leave Tyler Toffoli wide open, man? The guy gets like numerous breakaways a night. The guy like slips behind the defense, cherry picking, and then he gets this beautiful pass from like Drew Rand or whoever, Konkananami. Like Toffoli has been popping off for the Montreal Canadiens. He wasn't able to get a goal when he was facing the Edmonton Oilers, but he had numerous chances where he was just left wide open on a wide open breakaway. And Hamonic actually played not that great, leaving Tyler Toffoli open a couple times, letting him get a couple chances there. But man, Tyler Toffoli was just picking the corners all night long.
Yeah, he kind of plays the similar to the old Brett Hall. I mean, he's not really, he doesn't have the shot of Brett Hall, but few people that ever lived did. But he plays that kind of game where he finds the holes and he's able to sneak into areas where people don't notice him and stuff like that. Brett Hall played a lot like that. And last night, it was certainly flowing. I got to give Vancouver a lot of credit. They were playing like they play again tonight, and tonight will be 7 games in 10 nights for the Vancouver Canucks. That is that is crazy. And the fact that they actually pulled that out last night is pretty impressive. Yeah, and that's what I was just about to say. Montreal lost that game last night, didn't they?
Yeah, they took too many penalties, and you know what? That's going to be the thorn in the side of the Montreal Canadiens. I feel going throughout this season is penalties are going to be a pain. They have a lot of young guys. They have a lot of young guys on this team that are going to be taking dumb penalties, and they got a big defense for that. They're going to get angry, right? Sherrod is not always going to be a clean guy. Right, he's a tough physical guy. He's going to be taking a lot of penalties, and same with that defensive core. But they were taking a lot of dumb penalties throughout that night. You start off with one by Tatar with hooking, Sherrod holding on Pettersson, Anderson roughing on Hughes, Konkanami unsportsmanlike, just an unneeded penalty. Kulak with holding, Anderson with a delay of game in the third period there. Just numerous penalties that just really put the Montreal Canadiens to rest. Like, every time they took a penalty, the Vancouver Canucks slowly marched their way back into this game.
Yeah, the undisciplined play was really stood out, and is going to kill them if they stay like that. I mean, that's just, you can't have that kind of undisciplined play. I don't know exactly where it comes from. You said there were younger players, but if I look, who were the players that actually got?
Konkanami, you got Josh Anderson, who took a couple, Tatar, Sherrod, and Kulak. Kulak and Sherrod, but Konkanami, Anderson are pretty young. Tatar, I would say, like, he's 28, he's not that young, but still unneeded penalties. But Anderson took the 4 penalty minutes there. He took 2 penalties.
Yeah.
I think it was one with roughing and a delay of game over the glass.
Now, I don't think you can go talk about Montreal without talking about Anderson for a while. And what I saw, I mean, his first game, he really used his speed well, and he potted those 2 goals. But from what I saw from him last night, actually, he looked more like a guy that was going to play on your third line. He didn't really stand out offensively at all. He looked like what was happening with Columbus. Some games he had everything moving and playing aggressive style, and then other times he, like he did last night, is taking bad penalties and not in a groove at all.
Definitely a hot and cold player, and we've seen that with the couple games against the Edmonton Oilers. He was red hot sometimes, and then other times you never seen him out there. He was just not hitting, just kind of floating, kind of just not really gravitating towards the puck. He was just kind of standing there, and it's hard for those types of power forwards, because I've been seeing it with the exact same thing with Cassian, because a lot of those like big power forwards, they feed off the fans, and the fans go wild when they get a big hit. You kind of get that energy, you kind of get more going. But Anderson and Duran, I would have to say, have been doing very well. But yeah, against the Vancouver Canucks, they weren't buzzing. The Montreal Canadiens definitely didn't play the greatest game, and penalties really was a thorn. Also, Pettersson, where are you at, my man? I need you for my fantasy. 1 point? What's going on, dude?
Yeah.
I picked you for my fantasy team, expecting you to light up the NHL this year, and only 1 point. And I'll give him it. It's practically this would be preseason time, so Pedersen would already have a couple games on him already. But man, Pedersen only 1 point, no goals, no nothing. Like it's crazy. Besser and Horvat have just been insane. Shout out to Besser with that great shot.
Oh yeah. He's looked like a weapon every single game I've watched. Even not his best games, he would still do things. They're just like, wow. He's one of those wow players, Brock Besser. What was I going to say? I think with Peterson, part of it is, again, that you're playing so many games. He's stronger, but he still hasn't reached his physical maturity. I think he might be just a little tired, fighting it a little bit because of the amount of games being played. He'll probably after this Montreal game, he'll be able to hopefully get some rest, and the whole team will get some rest this next game tonight. And they're able to move in, the way we know Vancouver can play, and I'm pretty sure they will. I say they've been fighting pretty darn good. They were a lot better last night than I thought. I thought they were a lot better last night than I thought they were going to be. Obviously, I picked Montreal to win last night, and I picked the under. Two fairly tired teams with Holtby and Price in net. You think that might be under? No, guess not. Hoglander, though, he was like some of the best guy on the ice a lot of the time last night.
He really has been super talented. I know he hasn't put up very many points though on the board, only the 1 goal, but he's a young guy. He is gonna start generating some offense here sooner or later. He really is just a really talented guy, and I'm excited for him to start putting up points. And also, for Vancouver, I bet they're glad that Miller didn't play the first couple games to start off the season, because having him kind of well rested, jumping up into these games, having 4 points in the past 2 games, and in this one putting up 3 points in this game, he has just been absolutely buzzing, and having him kind of being a little bit healthier than most of the team, it's a nice addition to the team.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. It actually, you're right. It did end. It might have ended up being a kind of a blessing in disguise there, going through this, to have those fresh legs come into the lineup like that. As far as Montreal is concerned, I don't think it's going to be long before Kotkaniemi starts getting more ice time again. I don't think they're going to be able to keep that guy down. I really liked him last night. I like his attitude. I like the way he plays. But the question is who are they taking? Who is he taking the ice time from? Because Dano has been playing very well as well, and Suzuki, great top 3. They almost got to start taking a little bit away from Suzuki and Dano, I think, soon.
It's hard because, that entire offense, you don't have one guy that's in 20 minutes of ice time. Suzuki has 18. I think that's almost the most on the team compared to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Kotkaniemi's only been playing 14 minutes a game, but that's the thing about this team. I think the way that they're going to be going with it this year is just play really smart, and then I guess you're going to have to let go of Dano at the end of the season because he's a free agent there. But every line has been doing great. You look all up and down, you see offense from each and every line. You got Kotkaniemi, Toffoli, you got Drew Rance, who actually has been playing pretty well. His hands, I feel like, has been kind of getting back underneath of him. He's been passing really well with Suzuki and Anderson. And then that top line with Tatar, Dano, and Gallagher. I would like to talk about that line. That line is amazing. They are so fast. They're good at playing defense. They're good at forechecking. They just overwhelm teams. Especially when I was seeing them against the Edmonton Oilers. They overwhelm teams with Tatar, Dano, and Gallagher. And I bet they're glad they got Gallagher into that $6.5 million deal, because that is a steal of a contract. And honestly, what a great first line, a very underrated first line in the NHL as well.
Yeah, and Tatar's up for free agency next year, so he's probably going to be commanding somewhere in the 6 mark next year, 7 maybe even, possibly. So I don't know. Just because of the market the way it's going to be next year. But then again, it's the same thing. So maybe people don't have cap space and he's got to accept somewhere around where he's at.
Yeah, you never know, man. Like, I think I don't know what type of contract. What was Tatar given originally? 5.3. Yeah, he will probably be demanding, especially last year where he almost had a point per game last year as well.
Yep.
Tatar he's going to demand. I mean, Evander King, you look at him, he's making $7 million for producing around the same amount of points as Tatar. You most likely will see Tatar take that $7 million, but I don't know if Montreal will necessarily sign him because of the fact it's going to cost them a pretty penny.
Yeah, and they got guys like Lehkonen playing down on the fourth line right now, which just speaks a lot to their depth. Yeah, no doubt. Lehkonen is easily a third liner, can cover your second line. Great, a fantastic defensive winger. Yeah, the depth on there is pretty good. They can sign Joel Armia and play him on the second. I don't think they want to lose him though. That's going to be difficult to lose Tatar. He's been so good on that line, as you said, and I don't know how can they replace him. That's going to be interesting next year to see what Montreal does with this lineup after signing everybody that they already did. Okay, well, let's move on to the next game at hand, and I guess we'll go with the game of the night for us anyways. Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. The big game that was on, you did live, John from Off the Wall Hockey did live, and as we were saying, it was the first time, I don't know if it was ever, like in the regular season anyways, that NBC showed two Canadian teams on in the regular season. I'd like to know what the ratings for that was. I know that John did very well on his watchers list last night. But since we know we're both Oilers fans, I was apprehensive going into last night. Edmonton has, again, they were playing 4 games in 6 nights last night, weren't they? I think, something like that.
Yeah, I think so. We played on Monday, but we also played on Saturday. But that was the same with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs played a lot of games coming into this one as well, which I actually felt pretty confident about this one. I was talking about it on stream. Somebody asked me who I thought was going to win. I said the Oilers, and I said the Oilers need to play good forecheck, and we need to play really good defense to outperform the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we need to get those lucky bounces, and we need to kind of start putting goals up on the board. And we got the lucky bounces, to say the least. Toronto scored practically on themselves. And man, I just uploaded a new video, and holy crow, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they were ever so angry. They were even before the game. They're like, "Oh, Koskinen's in the net. This one will be easy." And then Koskinen played, I think, one of the best games. He was fantastic out there, robbing Matthews multiple times of some great chances. Same with Tavares. He was absolutely fantastic. The thing that's funny, guys, Yamamoto got a goal, but didn't shoot once.
That's funny.
Goal, but didn't shoot.
Didn't get a shot. Didn't get a shot. That's right. Yeah, it was off the foot of. Can't remember who that defenseman was last night.
Yeah, BC practically he shot it right in front of his net. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he was trying to get it out because I think he seen Draisaitl, and he was like, "Oh no, Draisaitl's there," and tries to slam it out, and then went off one of the Toronto skates and right into the back of the net. And Austin Matthews, it was a really defensive game. It was surprising, honestly, to see this type of game for the Edmonton Oilers. But honestly, it was one of the best defensive games that I've seen from the Edmonton Oilers. Russell and Barrie were playing fantastic. Cuckoo and Larson. I know a lot of people were saying Larson was a little sketchy on the puck, but guys, he's a defensive defenseman.
It's not like he's just gonna all of a sudden start being good with the puck, you know.
Yeah, he's not gonna turn into Eric Carlson.
Yeah, certainly not.
He's a defensive defenseman. For a defensive defenseman, chipping up the puck off on the boards is the way to go for them, right? Yeah. So that's not really a giveaway. I would say yes, technically it's a giveaway because you're just rifling up the boards, but Larson's just trying to get it out of the boards.
He's just trying to get it out of the zone. I call it still a giveaway. I'm not a Larson supporter, you know that. But
well, honestly, Larson played very physical last night.
Yeah.
That he's playing defensively with Cuckoo. I think Cuckoo elevated Larson's game, and Larson seemed pissed. I think Larson was very angry. A lot of people were saying that he was absolutely terrible, which I agree. Larson has not been a very good defenseman for the team, but I think last night, the way that he played, he needs to continue that. He needs to play that grueling defensive hockey game, and I think they need to keep that pairing between Cuckoo and Larson, and I think they need to continue with Russell and Barry. Russell and Barry was our best defensive core the entire night. Russell was actually helping Barry out, generate some nice offensive opportunities. I think that defensive pairing was actually was giving us a lot of for analytics. They were our best defensive pairing on expected goals out of our entire defensive core. Nurse and Bear as well. They didn't do too bad. Nurse, that bad defensive play on Marner where he almost decapitated Marner. Nurse plays too aggressive, way too aggressive when he's out there, and I hate it and I love it because when he's too aggressive, he makes some really, really dumb plays that cost the team victories. But I also love Nurse because he can play really smart defensively when he can. And I think that's just part of him being young and him developing as a defenseman. And you look at this entire defense core since the starting of time when Darnell Nurse came in, there wasn't a lot of veteran leadership on this team. And you guys also got to remember, I know a lot of Oilers fans will say trade Darnell Nurse, which I think is stupid because we traded away Jeff Petrie at the exact same age, and now Jeff Petrie is in Montreal playing some of the best hockey.
I hated that trade when it happened. I hated it. Oh my gosh. Analytics-wise, Petrie was a freaking gem. It was ridiculous.
And every Oilers fan was like, "Oh, we gotta trade away Petrie," because Petrie would mess up sometimes, but he was young. He was nice. He was actually a good defender. But then we traded him away, and he's been a great defender there in Montreal. I don't believe we should trade away Darnell Nurse because he's still young. He hasn't even hit his prime in his career yet. And honestly, really good game by the Edmonton Oilers and Toronto. The offense was kind of dried up for them, at least. And both teams were, actually.
Well, again, Toronto and this was Dave Tippett is a good coach. He's having a bit of a struggle with this Oilers team, but he is a good coach. He actually is known for his defensive systems. And if Edmonton plays in that defensive system and then allows that to create their offense, they can be a great team. But if they play outside of that, they can get crushed, especially with the lineup that they have right now. And I think when they were coming up against Toronto, he was like, okay, guys, you want to run and gun with these guys? We have been playing. They're probably a little fresher than we are. We're going to lose. We are going to lose if we run and gun against these guys. And he said, all the things we've been working on defense. This is a game that we can start, as a stepping stone to being a strong defensive team moving forward this year. And hopefully, what's happened with the Edmonton Oilers is they saw the fruit of that and are going to continue like this now. Because when you've got weapons like Draisaitl in that, if Draisaitl, McDavid, of course, the weapons that we have, and one of the best two-way wingers in the game in Hopkins, doesn't get enough credit for that, by the way, Nugent Hopkins, then if you do tighten up defensively and play more on the defensive side of the game, those guys are going to pot 2 or 3, right? So, and especially playing against a game like that against a team like Toronto, who is looking to open it up against you, you've got a much better chance to win. They played kind of a perfect game last night.
So too.
On the road, a perfect road game.
I think there is still a lot lot to be fixed up. Cassian, also, I like to just say, I hate Tippett for the one fact of the matter is, he doesn't like to change things up when things don't seem to be working. That power play. I was actually screaming at my television during the live stream last night.
No.
Chase on. I don't know why we continue to play Chase on the power play. It makes no logical sense to me. I don't know why we don't throw Puljujärvi up on there when we did. We actually scored a goal. Isn't that surprising? Oh my lord, when we pulled Chase on off the power play, we actually scored a goal. Isn't that amazing, Tippett? Also, Zach Cassian. Where has he been? As a guy that's playing up on the first line, I feel like that first line's being dragged down a lot by Zach Cassian right now. As a fan watching that first line, it is dying for some energy, and Cassian's not giving that. Puljujärvi, I see that kid, and man, does he have some energy. And I think Puljujärvi would do great up on that first line, without a doubt. I think he would be a really, really good guy, because he's been playing really good alongside Turris and Nygaard last night. He was playing great. Also, I heard Neil is going to be back in the lineup for Friday, and looks like Chiasson is going to be out of the lineup, and it looks like Neil will be replaced on that fourth line playing alongside of Shore and Archibald. So that's good news.
Yeah.
Neil on the power play, I love it.
Yeah.
Love when Neil's on the power play instead of Chiasson, because even last year, I don't hate Chiasson. I think he's a good player for the fourth line, but he's not a power play guy. I know, like last year, he got red hot and stuff. He's not a power play guy. He's not. He's a big guy. He's a big threat presence guy. He's a fourth liner though, and he's really kind of showing that. So hopefully, when Neil jumps back in the lineup, that power play will get going a little bit more, because even last night the power play wasn't going. We were disorganized. We weren't going very well. On the Toronto Maple Leafs side, I think they did pretty well. I think they had some opportunities there for Matthews, but Matthews he had 6 shots, but he has to really get it on that stick and be ready to shoot that puck. Also, Joe Thornton, he's injured for the Toronto Maple Leafs as well.
Yeah.
He's having to do some testing right now. I think it's on his wrist or something, but that will be a big loss for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Especially, I think Nicholas Robertson also has an injury as well. So there's a lot of things that Sheldon Keefe will have to bounce around the lineup, but I do like what Keefe was doing with the 7 defensemen. The only problem is if you do get a forward that gets injured, that means you're going to be only running with 3 lines. And it's going to be a little sketchy there for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But honestly, Toronto played very well. I don't know what to expect on Friday between the both of them, but it should be a fun game.
Yeah, it will be a fun game, no doubt about that. I don't know what to expect either. Toronto is in a position, still they put themselves in a little better position for injuries, but I still don't like their lineup if injuries start happening. And I don't mean lots either. It's not going to take too many injuries for that bottom 6 and that top maybe 5-6 pairing not to look too good. They were putting a lot of faith in let me look at where they were putting a lot of faith in hoping that Lettinen was going to be able to play. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to play in their top 4 this year. Dermott is getting less ice time, which is good, but they could be in trouble if injuries start happening there for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why people I think Lettinen's a good defender. I think the way he played last night, with only playing 8:34, but when he was on the power play, I don't know why they played him for 2 minutes, because he definitely didn't look the greatest out there for the Toronto Maple Leafs. When he was playing, he looked like he was bobbling the puck, looked a little nervous out there, and it's probably just the first few game shakes that he's having, especially since he didn't have any preseason hockey, which is a thing that a lot of people have been talking about with a lot of teams. But yeah, their defense, Brody, and I'll shout out to their defense corps. They did a great job shutting down McDavid on a lot of rushes between Brody and Riley and Muzzin and Hall. They did a really good job shutting down McDavid, making sure that when he did go on his rushes, he didn't. They made sure he didn't get in there and get that goal. because McDavid had 3 good rushes. Muzzin shut him down a couple times. Brody did as well, which I think Brody was such a good pickup for the Toronto Maple Leafs team because of the fact Brody is experienced against McDavid in this Canadian division, and Brody will be such a pivotal guy going forward for that Toronto Maple Leafs team, especially for PK and this overall defense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's looked pretty good. Bogosian, I think they just have a lot of defensemen, and that's still, yeah. I mean, better than Cece.
They got 3 good defenders.
The best,
3 good defenders.
Yeah.
Muzzin, Riley, and Brody.
Yeah.
And Justin Hall's not bad.
And they don't have Cece, and that's that might be the biggest thing in the whole thing. I think their whole summer was like, okay, as long as we don't have Cece on the ice, we're okay. Pittsburgh will probably take him. Yeah, for sure. What a crazy. Well, okay. So, yeah, it was a fun game. A lot of surprises. I didn't really expect that high scoring game, although the public did, because you were getting minus money on the over 6.5. So, like, everybody thought that was going to be.
I don't know why. I mean, Matthews. It's just like the Matthews and McDavid effect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, those guys are playing. It's going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah.
It might not always be the case, though.
Yep. All right, let's get to, because we're going to get to tomorrow's games too. The next one will be the Vegas, I think it's the last one, right? The Vegas Arizona game.
Yep, that's the last one there.
Now, I watched this game last night as I was doing my picks for my videos and stuff like that. Basically, I've watched both of the last two games between these teams. They still have 3 more games to go against each other, I believe, in a row. Yeah, let me look this up here. I just want to make sure that's correct. Pretty sure. Yep, they're playing 5 games in a row again. 2 more games again. No, 3. They're playing 5 games in a row against each other.
4 games in a row. 2 in Vegas, 2 in Arizona.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vegas is being gifted the hottest start in the world. 2 games against Anaheim and then 4 against the Arizona Coyotes. Damn, that's like a gift. Opening up this massive present on Christmas. Vegas Golden Knights has got the biggest present ever, having to face Arizona and then St. Louis for 2 games and then San Jose, LA, Anaheim. Wow.
Yeah.
That is a weak schedule. Wow, is the NHL paying Vegas to win the cup this year? God, man.
No doubt.
Oilers have a back-to-back to deal with in Toronto and Vegas over here, Anaheim and Arizona.
Yeah, I know. They got a very easy schedule. Anyways, from that game last night and the one that I watched before that, this Golden Knights team, it's hard to tell. Do they look strong? I mean, the Coyotes lineup that they have, it's an AHL lineup. Put it that way.
It is.
Pretty much.
Phil Kessel and the rest is just like,
First,
Clayton Keller, I guess. But, I mean, even then, he's been meh here and there.
well, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Arizona Coyotes, I feel bad because, they have no, they really don't got very many fans. But the fans that they do have, I feel bad. Honestly, they just, you have a team that looks like it's going to be really good, and then it's just nothing happens. And you lose Domi, and the team kind of slowly falls apart. And it just seems like Arizona they're just not a good team. They took 7 penalties last night against the Vegas Golden Knights, which you just can't do. But they only capitalized on 1. And Arizona wasn't able to win this game, and Vegas was able to score 4 5-on-5 goals and 1 power play goal. I don't know what to expect from the Arizona Coyotes, but it's definitely not going to be a very positive year, especially with Oliver Ekman-Larsson out of the lineup as well right now.
Yeah, Larson's out. And this is really a bad schedule for as good as it is for Vegas, how bad is it for Arizona? Because Arizona's really biggest, actually this year in itself, their biggest weapon is that teams come in and maybe not prepared for their work, because they do have a strong work ethic under Rick Tocchet. You got to give them that. They can outwork you, and they play a very collapsing defensive system. And when you only got to play them once, it can be difficult through the game to break that. But if you get to play them 4 games in a row, you get to work on a system that can destroy them. And I have a feeling Vegas is going to win every single game here. Even with Kemper in the net, they are.
Been struggling.
Well, what do you? I mean,
Started in 879, but no defense. So
no defense, and they get to work. They get to find whatever weaknesses they can find in Kemper's game a little bit, but they can break the defensive system of Arizona because they're watching them every game, and it just leaves Kemper out there to dry. Out there to dry. Is that right? It leaves him out. It leaves him out there to dry. So he's it's a terrible situation for Arizona as a whole. I guess this 5-game schedule or whatever is kind of a microcosm of Arizona in general.
it really is. Like, you look at their defense. You got Hjalmarsson, Turin, Goligoski, Demers, Capobianca, and then Osterl. Honestly, that, like, you're playing Goligoski great. Hjalmarsson's really kind of just slowly has been dropping. Their defense core is definitely not the greatest. Like, their offense, they can't produce very much offense anymore. They're really being carried by Kessel, who has been lighting it up. I'll give Kessel that. He's been scoring some goals lately for that team, but is it going to be enough? And that defense liabilities as well. Larson's not going to help very much with you defensively. He'll help you offensively. But when you're going up against a team like the Vegas Golden Knights, who are just a tank defensively, they really are something else there in Vegas. But they've been doing so well. And Chandler Stevenson, who has been doing very, very well on that second line. Cody Glass hasn't been playing too many games, as it looks like Nicholas Roy took over that second line spot, and Keegan Colasor is playing up on that second line there, or on that third line with Roy and Tuck. But the Vegas Golden Knights, they have definitely been playing pretty well, and I mean, you never know until they go up against either St. Louis or Colorado, because they faced Anaheim in the first 2 games and then Arizona for the next 4. But this has been the best start the Vegas Golden Knights have had in their franchise. So expect big things, but don't expect too much, because they are facing some pretty weak teams right now. We'll have to see how well they play against St. Louis and see how well they do against another good defensive team, because we know that Vegas Golden Knights don't do very well when they're facing against a defensive team. For example, the Dallas Stars. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Stars absolutely demolished the Vegas Golden Knights defensively. So we'll have to see how well they play against the Blues.
Yeah, right now they're just picking apart that Arizona defense, and
they really are.
It's giving them a lot of confidence, and I'm sure that's going to help them in the long run.
They needed it.
Has there ever been an organization that's got gifts after gifts after gifts than the Vegas Golden Knights? It just seems like they can do no wrong. Or at the very least, even if they do wrong, something will happen that just like this, like get 5 games against Arizona or 4 games. I think it might have been 5. Let me check that out. I could have swore it was actually 5.
I think it's just 4. And then 2 against St. Louis, 2 against San Jose, and 2 against the Kings. I think they just.
Oh yeah, it was Anaheim, Vegas for 4. 6 games against bottom dwellers right off the get-go. Like, holy smokes, could you get? Now, that being said, that should come back, and they're going to have a tough schedule down the road. But getting your feet wet, and it's getting the opportunity to play against pretty much what will likely be bottom dwellers is a pretty big gift. Have I lost you?
I got you back.
Okay, good.
I
Woo!
wasn't hearing you for the bit there.
Okay.
What the heck is going on?
I was saying playing your first 6 games against people that are pretty much bottom dwellers, teams that are pretty much bottom dwellers, is a pretty huge gift. Like,
Oh, it is. Without a doubt, you gain a lot of confidence, and I think that's what the Vegas Golden Knights are doing. Like, Stone's been doing great. Smith is starting to kind of produce slowly. And they're starting to gain a little bit of that momentum, which is what they're going to need, especially when they have to go up against Colorado later on in February in a 4-game stretch. So, but I mean, that whole division is pretty much a gift to the Vegas Golden Knights, St. Louis Blues, and the Colorado Avalanche. You can't get much easier than what they have in their division right now, and especially the way that Colorado and Vegas are playing right now. And same with the St. Louis Blues, they just lost in a shootout, unfortunately. But the way that those teams are playing, they're definitely looking like they're going to be finishing in the top 3 of that division.
excellent, but okay, that's our games from last night. Now we're going to go into a segment here where, well, we're going to talk about tomorrow's games. And if those in the chat, if you got anything, this is going to be more flowing. We'll interrupt ourselves while we're talking. If you have any teams that you want to talk about, games you want to talk about, or predictions, tell me your predictions for each game, and we'll discuss that. We're going to start with the Flyers and Bruins tomorrow, or tonight, I should say. And the Flyers got some injury problems, don't they?
Yeah, who is injured? Oh, yeah.
Myers.
Morgan Frost.
Myers.
And Myers, yes. I've seen that on Twitter. That honestly is... That really... It really does suck.
And Couturier.
Couturier's out too?
Yes.
Whew, damn, man. It's unfortunate to start off that with multiple injuries, and I think Boston has been injury riddled as well. But yeah, losing both Couturier and of course having Gostisbehere out. But yeah, losing Couturier out with 2 weeks with a post-sternal separation. Damn, I don't know what the hell that is.
But, it doesn't sound like
it doesn't sound like a very good.
It doesn't sound like it's something you want to separate for sure. No doubt about that.
But TK has been doing so good. Same with Kevin Haynes. Like, they got a lot of good players there in Philly. It's a very deep team there in Philly. So I think they'll do really good. Boston, on the other hand, Boston Bruins haven't been doing terribly bad either. 1-1-1 to start off the season. Against New Jersey Devils, winning there in shootout, then losing, and then of course losing to the New York Islanders. But not having David Pastrnak in that lineup, and also Kasha, I feel like it's definitely hindering the Boston Bruins a bit, especially for their offense. Only having Richie Bergeron and Marchand score you goals right now, and only having 3 goals in the first 3 games of the season, it's going to be really, really rough going up against the Philadelphia Flyers. It really is. Philly is a decent team defensively, but they're going to light you up offensively. And will Tuukka Rask be able to hold it down for them again? Boston has been a great team defensively. Halak and Tuukka Rask have been putting up some great games for that team. So we'll have to see how well they do against the Philadelphia Flyers. But I believe I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Flyers with this one. I think the Flyers will be able to pull away. Even though, yeah, they're going to be missing Couturier out of the lineup, they got a really deep team. Scott Watson's been playing really well. Giroux hasn't been too bad. You also have Nolan Patrick, who, as well, has been playing really good and starting to show a little bit of that unshown potential that he used to have as a player.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about this, about who to pick in this one. I think in my picks video I took Boston. I just don't think, I don't like Philadelphia without Myers in the lineup there. You're going to be putting Gustafsson in places I don't want Gustafsson going to. That's I never liked that signing right from the get-go. I didn't get it. I would have. I know they needed. I know a puck. I know they needed puck moving and somebody for the power play, but $3 million for a guy who couldn't make Calgary's roster a lot of the time. And when he did, they did play him 17 minutes, but he was in and out of the lineup a lot. And Chicago as well. He coughs up the puck on a regular basis. It just.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a worry with them defensively, and then your top six pairing with Mark Friedman and Robert Haig. But man, like the injuries galore to start off the season, and then of course you don't even have Goss to spare. But yeah, having the young Philip Myers out of lineup it's going to be kind of it's going to suck for the team.
Yeah.
I'll check his stats here, but Phil Myers, yeah, he definitely is better defensively, and he is improving as a defender as well. His defensive stats are definitely not the greatest. It's definitely not. It's better than what Eric Gustin is. But now having to throw him up on that top four pairing alongside Justin Braun, I don't think he'll be too bad. But you look at the Boston Bruins defensive core too. It's not the greatest in the world. You definitely got Charlie McAvoy, got Grzelcyk, he's a very underrated defenseman, and Carlo. But you got Jeremy Lauzon playing 20 minutes of ice time as a 23-year-old, and this is his first official season really going to be lacing it up for the entire season. He's played a good, 35 games throughout his career. He's got some ice time, but is he going to be really ready to take that first role? He hasn't been looking too bad, but we'll have to see how well the Philadelphia Flyers do. And I think they'll do just fine. Carter Hart hasn't been terribly bad. Same with Brian Elliott. Brian Elliott had that great game against, who was it again? The New Jersey Devils, or no, the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, he played a great game against the Buffalo Sabres, and I think Philly will do just fine going up against Boston.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll have to differ in. I could see either team winning, but if you ask me to put a lean on it, I'm going to go Boston. Matt Grzelcyk is back in the lineup. He only missed one game apparently. I thought he was still injured. That's pretty big. I like Jeremy Lauzon. I've really liked him a lot. He is young, but he's improved very fast. And the biggest thing that Philadelphia can expose is Jacob Zaboral and Kevin Miller on that 5-6 spot. Not really the greatest, you know.
And the way that New Jersey played against the Boston Bruins as well, New Jersey is a very offensively, they have some good offense, and they play really good defense as well, but Jack Hughes has been buzzing lately, and if the Philadelphia Flyers just get a little bit of a buzz against the Boston Bruins, I could definitely see the Philadelphia Flyers winning that game, but they got to get their offense going quick against they got to get going quick against Boston.
Yeah, well, and you got Rask and Carter Hart. That's going to be a fun goaltending matchup to watch. Of course, we always love that. So with that in mind, like either one of those goaltenders can steal the game for either team. So
you could honestly go either way with that game.
Sure.
You could have the Boston Bruins produce really well defensively and play a really good defensive hockey game. They've been so far in the first 3 games in this year. They've been one of the best defensive hockey teams, and they're definitely going to need this win tonight as they are placed down that 6th in the division. And you don't want to start off cold and have another loss on your record, especially with Philly in your division as well. So you got to be able to shut down Philly's offense going into that game tonight, and you just gotta play your best hockey.
Yeah, I agree. You could make a case for both sides, no doubt about it. So you brought up New Jersey. So why don't we go to New Jersey, and we'll go to the Devils versus the Islanders. That's a very interesting matchup.
This is, I don't know who to choose in this matchup. It's either the New York Islanders, who are a defensive beast that have been looking great, with Semyon Varlamov, who hasn't been looking too bad, and then you also, 2 shutouts in his first 2 games, pretty damn good. And then you also have the New Jersey Devils, where Jack Hughes and Miles Wood have been absolutely amazing, and Mackenzie Blackwood, who also has been stellar in the back end there for the New Jersey Devils, which I'm not surprised about it, because I knew Mackenzie Blackwood is a good goalie, but man, I didn't expect this one of a start from the New Jersey Devils. Like, Lord. I think I'm going to go with on this one. I think I'm going to choose. I believe in the New Jersey Devils in this game. I think Jack Hughes, he's on my fantasy team. I need him to give me a couple more points. Since I forgot to put him in the lineup that night, or he went absolute mad, unfortunately. But I think Jack Hughes, I know people were calling him a bust, which I think is absolutely stupid to call somebody a bust after their rookie year. Jack Hughes, he's looking for a redemption tour, and it's depending on how well New York Islanders play defensively. If they are able to shut down the very talented Jack Hughes, there's no doubt about it that the New York Islanders will win that game. But New Jersey as well has been playing very well defensively as well. So I'm going to pick New Jersey Devils on this game.
Yeah, it is a tough one because I keep on saying New Jersey's got a tough go of it to start off with because they don't have Bratt, they don't have Hischier. They've been doing this without Bratt and Hischier. Think about that. Wow. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that New Jersey's going to be without Bratt and Hischier and they were going to have a positive record, I'd be like, okay, got lucky, I guess. But they've been playing, and I'm a big fan of Lindy Ruff. When he was hired, I heard a lot of poo-pooing of Lindy Ruff, and I was like, no, I don't know why. I don't know what this guy got branded because he had a rough go in Dallas. That wasn't his fault. I loved him in Buffalo. I think he's a brilliant coach, and he's showing it. He's showing it to be a very. I mean, New Jersey's playing like, hey, we can beat anybody right now. That's what a coach's job is to get you to do, right?
And that's the best way to go out there and play is just play like you're not scared to go out there and win games or lose games, right? Like this team it's looking like something new. PK Subban, he's not looking too bad out there. He's been generating some offense. Ty Smith as well, the young guy who's getting his kind of feet into the water this year.
Yeah.
3 points in 3 games. He's been looking great. And that Igor Sharagovich as well has been producing. So this team is it's a surprise team. And I think that's the way that the New Jersey Devils were really looking at it. People were saying that this New Jersey Devils were going to be a bottom feeder in this East Division. I don't think so anymore. I think they're really, really gaining some momentum right now. And with these next couple games, will kind of prove whether or not they're going to be a playoff team or not, right? They got the Islanders and then they got the Flyers. You got some pretty big matchups coming up in the next couple games.
Yeah, and the Islanders are without. I just found out that they're without Josh Bailey tonight.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
He's
so that's going to be a guy that a great two-way guy for that New York Islanders team. So they'll be missing him a ton.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Islanders aren't really known for their scoring prowess already. So any guys with offense out of the lineup for them is not very good. I'll say it again. I had the Islanders just barely making the playoffs this year. But the more I think about it, the more I think Barry Trotz should get Coach of the Year this year if they do make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Without Bailey in there, but your second line is Beauvillier, Nelson, and the kid Kiefer Bellows. And then you got Johnston, Pajot, and Komarov. That's not an NHL line.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Barry Trotz has been able to do that almost his entire career. Like even in Nashville, like you were looking at Nashville sometimes, like this team's not a playoff team, and then they make it in. You're like, what? How the heck did this team make it into the playoffs? But,
you betcha.
like Ross Johnson, Pajot, like that's like where's Pajot gonna get the offense? He's gonna like pass the puck to him, like
nobody.
Their first line is the only line that I look at like, oh, there's some goal scorers, and then everyone else is like Fuguli is a third liner, Bellows is not that ready yet. Like it's a weird roster, but the way that they just have that system working, it works. It works with what the New York Islanders have built there. And if Barry Trotz wasn't there, this team wouldn't be a playoff team. But since he is there, this team, without a doubt, might be a playoff team. But
no doubt
they
about
got
it.
to continue playing to their system. And Semyon Varlamov, who has been playing pretty good right now, got to continue what he's doing as well.
Well, you even take that into account. Semyon Varlamov never reached his potential till he had a couple of decent seasons in Colorado, but at the end of it, he wasn't very good. And then they picked him up when they gave him $5 million a year. I was like, what the heck? Yeah, exactly. Especially when Lehner was the other option. But Joe Bohr came up with a really good take on that they had the Sorokin kid, and Varlamov, of course, is Russian. So they thought that it would be better. Lehner doesn't give me like those warm and fuzzy feelings for bringing up kids with him as a goaltender. Does he for you?
Well, no, like he's gone through a lot of stuff, but Lehner's still young himself. He's still improving as a goalie. He's still going through a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Semyon Varlamov, he's been in the NHL for a long time now.
Yeah.
Right? Longer than what Robin Lehner has been in the NHL. And Semyon Varlamov has been more successful in a longer run than Robin Lehner. Not saying Robin Lehner's a great goalie now. Robin Lehner is fantastic, but they knew they could get Semyon Varlamov on some sort of a cheap deal and just have him on the team. And his last year in Colorado, he had a 909, but the year before that, he had a 920 save percentage with a 268 there in Colorado. And now this year, he has a 1,000 save percentage. Holy crap!
Yeah.
He already has 2 shutouts to start off this season. His top season was 5 shutouts. I bet you not, Semyon Varlamov, with the way that the New York Islanders have started this season off, Semyon Varlamov will most likely break that record for himself and probably have up to 7 shutouts this year, I feel. Semyon Varlamov will probably have a really good year this year, especially playing alongside Sorokin. It's going to be a lethal duo. I think Sorokin had a rough game last game. I don't give him any doubt on that one because he was throwing right in there, Semyon Varlamov. And also, I don't know what I think Clutterbuck shot Varlamov in the head. If you were a hockey player and you're playing hockey, don't shoot your goalies in the mask.
Yeah.
It's like a scrimmage or warm-up 101. Don't shoot your goalie in the mask. Like, you don't want to rattle your goalie right before the game. He's your biggest guy that you need to have perform. And Sorokin definitely wasn't ready to jump into that one. He really wasn't.
No, he wasn't. That's his first game in the NHL, and you're thrown in like that. I mean, that's a lot to ask of anybody. And I'm sure Kyle, the puck must have went up on end on him and he didn't notice or something. I'm sure he wasn't trying to go like that for sure. I don't even know if Clutterbuck on a regular basis can get it that high up. I'm kidding. But it was an unfortunate situation for Sorokin in that game. And hopefully his next start, he'll have much more preparation than he did this last one. So we'll go to another game here. I should really prepare for this a little bit. Okay, here we go. This is an interesting one. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yep, this is going to be a pretty fun matchup. It always kind of is between these two teams because Columbus upsetted the Tampa Bay Lightning 2 years ago now in the first round. Of course, now we know Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions, so who really cares that they lost in the first round? But Tampa Bay, they have not done too bad in the first 2 games. And they only played 2 games this season, man. They're lucky. They are lucky.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Columbus, they have played 4. Man, Tampa Bay, what the heck? What is the NHL doing? Why are they they're favoring all these great teams? They should be giving them the hard schedules. But the Tampa Bay Lightning, they've been looking great this season. Stamkos, he's been, but I mean, that's against the Chicago Blackhawks, so I wouldn't really say anything until I guess we go up against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have been a pretty good defensive team lately, but they have not been able to get off to the proper start with all the drama going right now in the locker room with Dubois and Tortorella. And Dubois has not started off the season too hot, only 1 goal with a -2. I'm going to pick, without a doubt, the Tampa Bay Lightning on this one. This is a pretty easy one. Columbus, they're having some problems in the locker room right now. They're definitely not playing like a team, like how they should be. And that's just the Tortorella effect. Sooner or later, it just kind of hinders your team, and it'll start to take a toll on a lot of the players. But I don't know, man. I just don't think. I think the Columbus Blue Jackets time has kind of ran out, and their luck of being a good team is slowly dwindling.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken highly of Tortorella in the past, but he made a mistake. Just plain simple as that.
And Domi as well. Domi, their new pickup, -5 with 1 assist.
He's looked terrible, and I was worried about that. I mean, not that I didn't think it was a bad idea to trade Josh Anderson, because that kind of money with, there's a lot of question marks in that. I kind of understand the trade, but I'm always apprehensive of picking up a guy that young who's been basically shown out the door in 2 franchises. And here he is now in Columbus, coming to... I wonder if he's like thinking, maybe the wing wasn't so bad after all. Because he didn't want to play center in Montreal, right? And I wonder if he's like, well, maybe because that atmosphere in Columbus right now, I just can't see it being good, no matter how hard Tortorella tries. And you've got them going up against a rested Tampa Bay team, and I do believe Columbus has played quite a few games here.
And this Columbus Blue Jackets team lost to the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
Their last game, they lost to the Detroit Red Wings in overtime. And Detroit's a very good team this year, no doubt about that. They actually do look really well, but they weren't able to score against Detroit. They lost 2 games against Nashville. They weren't able to score. They weren't able to keep the puck out of the net. What's going to happen against Tampa Bay? Right? Like, what's going to happen against the Florida Panthers, who also have been able to produce a little bit as well in these past little games? It's not looking good for the Columbus Blue Jackets right now. And, man, I don't know how you fix what they got themselves stuck into. It's not the worst situation in the world to be in, especially since I guess the Columbus Blue Jackets don't have a lot of all-stars on the team, so they could, if they really wanted to, blow up the team and have a good rebuild. But Kekalainen wants to make it into the playoffs. He believes that this team is a playoff team when it really isn't. It is really carried up by Tortorella, but with Pearlo, Dubois, and all that stuff, and Max Domi, we've all heard all the stuff about him not being the greatest guy in the locker room at all times.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily know that, but with all the drama that's going on with Pearlo, Dubois, that might also bring some more turmoil into that locker room as well. So who knows what's going wrong there in Columbus, but there's some serious problems that need to be fixed there.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody can turn it around, Tortorella's a guy, but he did, I think what he did, he knew it was either this team, the way it's going right now, it's either not going to make it or it is, and he took a risk and figured the only way they're going to make it is if we get this out of the room right now and get it out of the way, right? Yeah. So his thought was, if I bring it out to the open to the media, it's going to force his hand to just say, this is what it is. I think I don't think Tortorella's lying at all. Tortorella's straight up, this is the way it is. He's not telling us why, and I'm pissed off about it. That's really what he was saying. If it's me, that's great. Tell me. Have some balls. And if not, then you should go. That's what his attitude, I think, at this situation was. If it's not, then it should go. He might have even been trying to force the hand to get him traded as well. But actually, if that was the case, he didn't do a very good job of it, because I think you mentioned it or somebody else that was on mentioned it. He probably made it more difficult to trade Dubois in this situation by coming out to the media like that.
Yeah, well, like, especially then telling everyone that, like, yeah, nothing's like, he's not really telling me what's going on here. Like, going out to the media is never a good case, especially with a young player like Pearlo Dubois. You're right, like, it's just not a good situation that Tortorella put himself into, and we've seen this from Tortorella before when Calgary and Vancouver were facing, and how bad of a situation Tortorella put himself in when he threw out his greasy line against Calgary's greasy line, and they had a huge line brawl, and Tortorella was about to jump over the glass and Tortorella does get himself into some really bad situation. He lets his kind of anger do the talking sometimes, and you see that from him a lot, and that's what kind of is the decline of Tortorella, is when he uses his anger to get his way. And Columbus, we've seen it the entire time, right? When he's a coach, right? You take a look at the New York Rangers when he was coaching there. Great years with the New York Rangers, but then downhill. Vancouver, I mean, he only coached 1 year there. It was bad. It was bad. But Tampa Bay, even with them when he was there, it was going good, and then it just went downhill. It really did go downhill quick from them winning the Stanley Cup to them being a bottom feeder team. And that might be the same thing that's happening with the Columbus Blue Jackets right now. It's been a thing that Tortorella, I love Tortorella. I think he's a good short-time coach. He's a good guy to get in there, win you a cup, and then most likely leave. He's a great coach, no doubt about that, but the Columbus Blue Jackets, I think, are going downhill this year.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, certainly from what I've watched with them. So we got a couple more games we'll get into here. Try to run them off pretty quick. One thing I did want to mention is we'll go to the Colorado Avalanche Kings game simply because there's a point of note there that is very interesting. Where did I see that now? Where did I put my... Anyways, Mishka is going to be goaltending for Colorado tonight. Yeah, where's my goaltender? Yeah, left wing lock. I just had it and now I lost it. I'll look it up. Mishka, yeah.
I heard about him because I know Frank Moons has been kind of.
Francois out. Yeah, he's out.
Mishka played there in Arizona last year in Colorado Eagles. He had a .924 save percentage with a .248. Did great in the ECHL when he was down there. Honestly, not that bad. We'll have to see it while he plays in net, but not a bad looking goalie there for Colorado. Kind of a guy that I've heard a little bit about, but not a crazy ton. And that's the luck of Arizona, letting a great goalie go who did so bad in AHL, and then he went and popped off there in Colorado, of course. Typical Arizona stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they definitely need to give Philip Grubauer a break. You can't play him all the time like what Edmonton's doing with Koskinen there. But Mishka, he's showed some good stuff in the AHL, and when you're facing up against a team like the LA Kings, who haven't been the greatest team in the world for sure, they've been doing good, but they definitely haven't been able to put up the points. The goal scoring has been a big problem for them in the past couple of games that they've been playing. So it's not a bad idea. Test out the youngster, see how well he plays against the LA Kings, and then if you trust him a bit more, maybe play him another game. It's not a bad idea for the Colorado Avalanche, honestly.
Yeah, he had 248. The year before that, he had 308. So it could be his coming out party. He gets an opportunity to undrafted goalie. Yeah.
Huge chance to take a step up this year. But honestly, I'm going to pick the Colorado Avalanche in this game as well against the LA Kings. Colorado has been a pretty good beast. LA as well. I'm not doubting LA. I think the games that I've watched of LA, they've been good. They showed that they do have some potential to win some games. Yes. They just haven't been able to finish it off. They just haven't been able to get that one goal to tie the game up or to win the game off, right? That's been the biggest problem there for LA. Of course, it's that goal scoring power, which I knew was going to be a big thing that they were going to have. Velarde, -3 with only 1 goal to start off the season. And on J.J. Santanasi, which I kind of started talking about him early on in the episode, I am loving Santanasi right now. His goal scoring prowess is great, and that's where he's going to be in LA, and that's what he needs to be if that LA team is going to be good. But also that defense has been a little out there, especially their goaltending between Quick and Peterson. They've been definitely not the greatest tandem in the league. But Colorado, Nate McKinnon is just, of course, Nate McKinnon playing great, and Girard as well. 4 points in 3 games.
Girard, I've been watching a lot of these games, and Girard has been phenomenal, man. Unbelievable. Like, I am talking, he has been playing Norris level hockey.
Devon Taves, man. I've seen him on I think it was a power play. Are they playing together, I think? No, Girard's playing with Graves, but I seen on the power play, Girard set up Devon Taves with this beautiful one-timer on the last game against LA there. It was absolutely beautiful. Oh my lord, the setup pass there by Girard, bringing all the defenders towards him, sets up a beautiful pass to Taves, beautiful one-timer. Girard is an absolute steal, and that Matt Duchene deal, Girard was just, he is such a good defender, such a great offensive defenseman, great pickup, and he's just been a great guy for the Colorado Avalanche this year.
Yeah, and what a great combination of Girard and Graves. Like, perfect two, what one doesn't have, the other one does. Like, it just fits in like Lego blocks. And, oh, wow. Well, like, that defense is insane. When Bowen Byram comes back, we can now talk about the trade where they got Greg Patterin, they gave up Cole, simply because they needed to make room for Byram, right?
Yeah, and clear some cap space too. I mean, you save a little bit of money on that. I don't mind Greg Patterin. He's still a really good defender for the team. It looks like they're going with 7 defenders now too. Like, Patterin, he's definitely not your offensive guy, but once you're asking him for defenseman, he's a perfect guy for that. And Timmins and Bowen Byram, I'm excited to see if Bowen Byram, is he going to be playing tonight? Is he going to be in the lineup?
I'm not sure completely.
It says on Cap Friendly that he looks like he'll be in the lineup.
Wow, that'll be fun to watch.
If Bowen Byram is, I'm definitely watching that game tonight.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Bowen Byram and how he's playing in the NHL right away. Those are exciting things to see. Oh, nice.
He's making his debut tonight.
Nice.
Byram did great in the World Juniors, so I'm excited to see how well he'll play.
Okay, we'll talk quickly because we already did talk about the Canadiens Canucks, but they're playing again tonight. And here's, well, like we said, Canucks playing 7 games in 10 nights. And they're playing against a Canadians team that I do believe also has played quite a few games in the last little while. So this could be 2 tired teams tonight with, I believe they're going with Allen, the Canadiens, and with Demko, Vancouver. I have a feeling that we're not going to see the shootout we saw last night. I think both the coaches here are going to be like, okay, that was fun, but let's not do that again.
I think Montreal is going to come back firing in this one. They weren't very happy with the way that they played, especially taking a lot of penalties. But the way that Vancouver is going to win this game is if Pedersen has to get himself going. When you don't have your top guy on your team going, it's not going to be a good way to go about things. So I'm going to pick the Montreal Canadiens just because of the fact that Montreal's been such a good team over the past couple of games. And I think they're going to be coming out and playing really, really good. And Jake Allen as well has been really good for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with the Canadiens on this one.
I'm kind of leaning that way too. I haven't put a pick in this, so I can talk about this a little more. I have put one, but I can talk about the line. I think the Canadiens as well. I'll tell you what, if the Canucks win this tonight, watch out for the Canucks the rest of the season.
Oh yeah.
Because
Well, I mean, watch out for any team. This division is going to be so scary, even as an Oilers fan. Like looking at this Canadian division, like every team right now, you got Canadiens with 6, Toronto with 6, Calgary with 5, and then it's like a 4-way tie for fourth between Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Vancouver. And then Ottawa is only a point away as well to start off the season already.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that if you can win a game when you've played 7 and 10 at the end of a 7-game in 10 stretch, that is absolute. That's going to be such a morale booster. That's going to make you feel like you are on top of the world, like you can just beat anyone. That's going to give the Canucks a kind of confidence that could put them in a crushing everybody mode for a while at least. Get some rest, come back up, and you get some rest, get back your energy again, and you can come out and go, hey, you look, we crushed the Canadiens in 7 and 10. You want to beat us? Come try it. Like that is going to be huge for them.
They got to play better defense, the Vancouver Canucks, tonight. They have not been playing that good of defense for the past couple nights. Alexander Edler also left last game with an injury as well between the Canucks and Canadiens with an upper body injury.
Yep.
There's no reports on him saying that he'll be back for tonight. So if Edler's out of the lineup, I don't know. I don't know about that defensive core. Edler is a very big piece for that defensive core for the Vancouver Canucks. So I think I'm going to go for sure with the Canadiens on this one.
You're going for the Canadiens. We got Kevin Serling in here talking to us right now, a longtime follower. We love you, Kevin. He's going with the Canadiens, and he's coin flip. He's got the Isles beating his Devils, which I thought you were the Isles will beat the Devils. My guess is 2-1. Sorry, I thought he said my Devils. He's an Islanders fan. Kevin is. So, Kevin, what do we got? We're going to the Jets and Senators here now. What do you got for the Jets and Senators? And the Jets and Senators are interesting in that the Jets are very injured.
Yeah, they are.
It's all right.
Missing Line A. He's doubtful for tonight's game against Ottawa. And Ottawa, Zaitsev's leading the team in points. Damn.
Yeah.
Man, Toronto regretted that trade, eh?
Yes.
CC, damn.
Yes.
I don't know. This is a tough one, too, because Winnipeg, they're a good team. They beat Ottawa out last time.
But they were outplayed that whole game. I watched that game. I had Ottawa to win.
Yeah. They were really outplayed in that game. So I feel like, you know what, I'm going to pick the Ottawa Senators. I feel like the Ottawa Senators are going to come out hot tonight in this game. Ottawa's been playing really good to start off this season. I've actually been very impressed with how well they've been playing, especially against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and how well they dominated, like you said, against the Winnipeg Jets. I'm pretty sure I seen it was like 17-3 or something like that. It was amazing.
Oh, so yeah. I'm kind of with you on there. I'm trying to find where the heck did I? Oh, here it is. I'm with you on that. Winnipeg did outplay them. The problem is Ottawa is so young; they have to learn how to hold a lead.
Yeah, that too. And that's the problem. It's gonna be a real big learning curve this year for the Ottawa Senators. I feel like this is going to be a huge stepping stone for them, right? With Tim Stützle jumping up in the lineup, and Brady Tkachuk and Joshua Norris jumping up into the lineup, and Drake Batherson, who I called it, he's going to be a big player for the Ottawa Senators.
We both were on that one, yeah.
I love Drake Batherson ever since he played for the World Junior team, and I think the Ottawa Senators, I don't see him as a playoff team. I don't see him as a playoff team because of the fact that they're still a young team, and them struggling to hold the leads is going to be their biggest decline. But honestly, this Ottawa Senators team, I feel like they're going to be able to pull away with the victory against the Jets. The Jets have been playing a decent amount of games, and they don't do very well when Patrick Laine is on the lineup, it seems like. So I'm going to pick the Sens on this one.
Yeah, that's the thing too. The Jets are tired. They played a ton of games. The Senators have played less, and they have the let me see what the goal have they did anything for the goaltending here.
I don't know.
Probably.
Matt Murray has played every game for Ottawa. I think Hellebuyck, because Brossois played in the last game, so I'm guessing Hellebuyck will be played in the next one for the Winnipeg Jets, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's just projected Hellebuyck and projected Matt Murray. That's likely what it will be. That's the thing that, Hellebuyck can win the game all by himself. But after the last game where Ottawa outplayed Vancouver pretty much the whole game, I think they're going to be coming out. They want that back. They're going to be playing with a lot of pride here. And want to show that. And Tkachuk really hasn't got it at full bore yet. You know what I mean? Matthew Tkachuk really hasn't, from what I've seen, hit his stride. And maybe that happens. This is enough to get that happening with Ottawa because not Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, I should say. Brady Tkachuk. That team needs Brady Tkachuk to be playing at a very high level, for sure.
Without a doubt. And I think he's been pretty, not too bad this year, I think. And he's going to continue to develop. He's only 21 years old.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think he has tons of time. And I think, honestly, I'm really excited about this Ottawa Senators team with Stützle and Tkachuk. Nice bow ties, guys. Thanks, Kevin, on the nice bow ties.
Yeah. The bow tie
brothers.
Just right. I love the bow tie. It looks fantastic. You are looking sharp, my friend.
Thank you. My grad suit, surprisingly enough, still fits. So.
Oh, give that another 20 years and see if you can say that.
Yes, probably.
It won't
fit me in a while.
I hopefully will be sitting here doing this exact same thing 20 years from now. And we'll be able to check to see if the grad suit actually fits. Well, I think that's all we got for today. That's been, that's about it. I don't think there's is there any other news you've heard on the day today besides the Washington news, which was pretty huge?
Yeah, I was actually surprised that it broke during our show. That's actually kind of funny, eh?
Yeah, it broke during the show. Yeah, for sure.
Nothing else. Brian making his debut tonight, and that's basically it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been fantastic, Payton.
It has been.
I love doing this with you. We'll have you. We'll be on together as much as possible. You're going to school right now, though. Makes it a little difficult for this to happen on a regular basis, but will be happening more and more often. I'm going to also be having other guests like Professor Joe Boric, John from Off the Wall. I'll be having him back again. Steel Flyers, of course. And many, many more guests we'll be having through the days. I'll be on again tomorrow. I'm kind of experimenting with the times here to see what works for everybody and where we get the most people watching. So I might try tomorrow about the same time. I kind of like this time. So until then, that's our full 42, boys and girls. That's all I have to give. And I know Peyton's got to get running too. This has been amazing times. I've enjoyed it immensely. Thanks for coming, Payton.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining whoever watched. It was a lot of fun talking some hockey for 2 hours. Nice to wake up to and nice to start off the day. Just got to do a bunch of homework and enjoy the rest of the day.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Lots of love to ya. All right.